Right. We mentioned right at the start of the show that today's games were very, very important because it gives us a sense of how the quarterfinal will look like. So we've put together the likely quarterfinal, and first let's take a look at how the teams are likely to finish in their groups, and that will actually determine how the quarterfinals will be like. We'll start with Group A. New Zealand should finish on top, having beaten Australia. We put Australia at number 2, Sri Lanka at number 3, and between Bangladesh and England at number 4. The only reason we've put Bangladesh at number 4 is not because how well Bangladesh is playing, but because how poorly England are playing at the moment. Okay, moving to Group B, most likely it will be India that will finish on top, followed by South Africa, followed by West Indies, and at number 4, you could have either Pakistan or Ireland. As we heard from Brian a short while ago, that Ireland could be that dangerous side. So that takes us to our likely quarterfinal lineup. It would be like Sri Lanka taking on South Africa in Sydney. That will be the first quarterfinal. India taking on either Bangladesh or England in Melbourne. Third quarterfinal, which will be played in Adelaide, would be Australia taking on West Indies, and the fourth quarterfinal would most likely be New Zealand playing either Pakistan or Ireland in Wellington. Okay, this was the likely lineup that the NDTV Sports Desk put together. But let me go across to Brian. Brian, we've got your likely quarterfinal lineup as well. Slight changes from the one that we've put on our screens. Firstly, I'll come to that India versus England quarterfinal that we put, and we put Bangladesh there, but you've removed Bangladesh. So you don't see any hope for Bangladesh. You think England will pip them?
Yes, even though England is not playing top cricket, I mean, today's performance must give them a little bit of optimism in terms of going ahead and playing against some of the minnows and getting some points. I believe that they're gonna catch the fourth place in their group and will have a very tough task against India. And they did just play India in the Tri-Nations Cup in Australia, and they were successful. So they might be thinking, hey, let's get to the quarterfinals. If we have to play the team that's playing the best cricket in the tournament, so be it. We will handle things when we get there. So I give England the edge over Bangladesh, and I still believe that that is not an easy match for India, because they must be thinking, well, you know, what happened in that Tri-Nations, we have to be very careful.
Okay, the other thing, Brian, that is slightly different to the one that we put out to you've picked New Zealand versus Pakistan and not Ireland. It could be a pre-quarterfinal, that Pakistan versus Ireland, and you're still going ahead with Pakistan with the way they're performing, because Ireland have looked good and not looked like minnows as everyone's calling them at the moment.
Yes, but Pakistan, they have to wake up at some point in time in this tournament, and they would know that that Ireland game is really a knockout game. And I believe that they would come to the party. They have some top players. Alfredi has not fired yet. Quite a few of their top players are still, you know, asleep. And I expect that they would play well against Ireland and just maybe pip them to get into the quarterfinals. They're most likely going to be 3 teams on 6 points, including the West Indies. So I don't entirely rule out Ireland, but I think that if the West Indies progress with a very good run rate, they can safely say, well, okay, we're going to get into 3rd place, and Pakistan will have to beat Ireland in a very big way to sort of clinch that spot. But Pakistan have to come to the party, and I expect them to do so in their remaining matches.
Okay, now let's go over to VVS's quarterfinal lineup, and this is what he's picked, and this is quite different to the one that the NDTV Sports Desk picked and what Brian picked. So VVS has gone with Sri Lanka versus West Indies, the game that will be played in Sydney, India versus England in Melbourne, South Africa versus Australia in Adelaide, and New Zealand versus either Pakistan or Ireland in Wellington. And the reason why VVS's quarterfinal lineup is slightly different, because he's actually put Sri Lanka ahead of Australia in that group. So he feels that Sri Lanka will finish ahead of Australia in Group B, which is why this is how the lineup is looking. I beg your pardon, in Group A. VVS, to you, you are really convinced that Sri Lanka, that Australia game, Sri Lanka will be able to pip them, and that's why they'll go ahead of Australia then?
No, it's just that Australia are very unfortunate, you know, to have that game against Bangladesh washed out. So because of that, I still feel that Sri Lanka will have an edge over Australia. But having said that, it will be a tough game for Australia, because yesterday you saw how the batsmen collapsed after a good start against the New Zealanders. So I think it will be a close game. But as far as the Group B is concerned, I still feel that Ireland and Pakistan, that will be a pre-quarterfinals. because I still give chance to Pakistan to come back into this tournament. Yes, they had a tough start to their tournament. They lost to India, which always is a tough game for Pakistanis in the World Cup match. Then they lost to West Indies, where in the first few overs itself, when they started their chase, they were one for 4 wickets down. So I still feel that Pakistan will make it to the quarterfinals. So I think that will be my quarterfinals list, Nikhil.
Okay, very interesting. So he, like Brian, also VVS feels that Pakistan will pip Ireland and make it to the quarterfinal. One final question, I'll go across to Brian for that. Brian, what did you make of VVS's selection? He's actually put Sri Lanka ahead of Australia. One reason is, of course, Australia, that game got washed out versus Bangladesh, but he would also be hoping for Sri Lanka to beat Australia and then go ahead of them. How do you see that game panning out, and do you agree with him?
Well, Sri Lanka is a very good team, but I'm still worried about their 2 wins. One against Bangladesh and the next one against England. Convincing, yes, but not great opposition. They weren't stretched. Australia, for me, pre-tournament favorites. Yes, they had a game against New Zealand where they lost, but they really fought right down to the end. I expect them to remain that way. There's a lot of rain in Sydney, though, so if you have a washout, Sri Lanka is definitely going to go ahead against Australia. But I will back Australia against Sri Lanka here on Sunday in Sydney. Australia is going to move into 2nd place, and that is going to be the match of the quarterfinals. For me, where South Africa takes on Sri Lanka. All the rest of the games look pretty much with a heavy favorite to India versus Pakistan or Ireland. Australia may play against West Indies. Again, West Indies struggling, and New Zealand against one of the other minnows. I think for me, that match, whoever South Africa is going to play against, if it's Australia or Sri Lanka, that is the match of the quarterfinals, and it's going to be a big, big game. Don't miss it.